So finally, so we are live, Chetan. I welcome all the aspirants who are here to listen to Chetan's strategy, and I welcome Chetan also, who has recently cleared SEBI Grade A exam, one of the most prestigious exam I would say in our country. So Chetan, welcome to our YouTube channel, and I think to
Thank you,
start
sir.
with, I'll just ask you, how is the feeling or how is the Josh now?
Pretty high, pretty high,
Pretty
pretty
high.
high.
So I was discussing with Chetan, and he told me we just had a brief discussion before this interview. Chetan told me that he belongs to a business family, Marwadi family.
Right.
It was a surprise to me, and Chetan, being the only son of his parents, that he did not opt for business, rather he opted for studies, and he made it to SEBI Grade A. So Chetan, how is the reaction of your family? Are they happy, or somewhere deep inside they're thinking, "यार ये कहाँ चला जा रहा है हमारा बेटा?"
Sir, mixed feelings, sir. Definitely, there is mixed feelings because I am very attached to my mom, and because I'll be moving to Mumbai, and my mom has never been without me. So yes, that is one part of the story that they will be missing me, and even I will be missing them. So yes, that is there. But yeah, in terms of career, they are very happy that I have been able to crack this exam.
That's indeed a big achievement there, I would say, big achievement. So, Chetan, tell me something about your background. I mean, about your educational background in specific.
So I am born and brought up in Kolkata. I have done my schooling from ICSE board here in normal St. Helens School. I have done my graduation from Calcutta University, and after my graduation, I pursued my CA and CFA. So during my chartered accountancy course, we in a CA course you are taught a lot of things like costing, auditing, accounts, taxation, finance. Everything is there. So it is a very good platform where you can explore all the streams and then you can choose your area of specialization. So my specialization that I chose was finance, and therefore I moved to CFA. And from that, there I cleared all the 3 levels of my CFA. I moved to campus placement in Mumbai in 2017. So I cleared my CA and CFA both in 2017. So I was there for campus placement, CA campus placement in Mumbai because I wanted a job in finance, and Mumbai is the financial capital of India. So uh, while I applied there, I was offered a lot of auditing jobs, but I was not offered finance jobs for the reason that I was not experienced in finance. I had only studied and I had cleared all the 3 levels, but there was a lack of experience, and so I was not able to get any job. So that quite was demotivating for me at that point of time. I returned back to Kolkata, and then I started a new venture with my brother, a training institute where we used to train students in the field of accounts, taxation, and finance, and used to give them placement guarantee as well in a span of 2 months. So that was the whole aim. But in 2019-20, we all know the pandemic arrived, and since our model was a very offline based model, and rent and other expenses, fixed expenses, was a very huge cost, which was quite difficult to sustain at that point of time. And yes, we were shifting online. I had also taught about CFA Investment Foundations program, but things didn't go quite well in that respect. So I thought, and I was married since 3 years. So I thought that I needed financial stability. Yes, passion is one thing, and teaching and mentoring has been my passion when I was teaching at Skillshot also. But financial stability was one area which I was lacking in, and therefore I thought that regulatory bodies would be a very good platform for me to leverage my skills, and that is why I opted for regulatory body exams. The regulatory body journey started exactly 1 year back, around this time, like the 24th, 25th July, with NABARD Finance, and then PFRDA, and then Central Bank of India Financial Analyst Post Specialist Officer, and then SEBI. So these were the exams that I gave during the last 1 year, and the whole purpose was to align myself to SEBI, because if you see the exams that I've given, they are all in line with SEBI syllabus. So
Yes.
yeah, that was the whole aim.
Yes. So first of all, I would say after listening to your background, so it's indeed even a bigger achievement that being married. I mean, you were able to clear this exam. So I think we all need to applaud the support you might be getting from your wife.
Definitely from my wife, from my family. Even my father is the one who is handling all this when I should be financially stable right now, and I should be handling the family. But yes, at the back end, I have had a lot of support to be able to do this.
So, Chetan, what were the main challenges in your overall journey? I mean, was it lack of time? Was it lack of focus? Was it like getting demotivated at times? Because no, again, you said that no, you have so many qualifications,
Right.
and sometimes you start feeling, yeah, what is the use of this? I'm not
Correct.
able to get any break. So
Correct.
what was the main challenge in your entire journey?
So the main challenge was the decision that I took, that I had to, stop my, I have to accept my failure as a startup, as an entrepreneur. I have to accept it that I have not been able to give out my full potential, because that was the thing that I fought with my family. मैंने अपने फैमिली से लड़ के वो चीजें स्टार्ट करी थी, बिकॉज माई फैमिली सेड दैट यू शुड गेट अ जॉब, यू आर सच क्वालिफाइड, एंड देन यू शुड इन फ्यूचर यू कैन स्टार्ट योर ओन वेंचर. बट आई सेड नहीं, मेरे को यही करना है अभी. तो दैट वाज द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज, टू एक्सेप्ट दैट फेलियर एंड टू एडमिट इट दैट you were right, नहीं हो पाया मेरे से. Now I just want one more year for me to be able to explore my thing, and then if this doesn't happen, then I'll go for a corporate job.
So now coming to your preparation, Chetan, how much time did you devote, I mean, in totality to this preparation, including whatever time you would have given to PFRDA or some other exams? So is it a 1 year journey, 2 year journey?
So it's a pure 1 year journey. It's a pure 1 year journey, and it has been a very consistent one. The consistency is because I gave all these exams only to become consistent. Like, so we all wait for the notification to come. And sir, you might have faced a lot of questions from aspirants that when will the notification come? Even I am one of them. So, and जब तक notification नहीं आता तब तक वो पढ़ने का zeal नहीं आता एक. So in that case, I thought that, okay, let's give all these exams because they are in line, and that will keep me motivated to study. And मेरा जो पढ़ाई से टच है वो छूटेगा नहीं, at least. For that matter, I gave all these exams plus to be familiar with the exam environment, the interface that we all face. So yeah, all these were the reasons that I gave this.
ये आपने बहुत सही बोला है, because even many a time student call me and say कि सर मैं सिर्फ सेबी दूं या आरबीआई भी दूं या नबार्ड भी दूं, तो मैं उनको यही बताता हूँ कि देखो तीनों एग्जाम की तैयारी करना मुश्किल है, बट जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ इट दैट नो यू आर इन दैट एग्जाम साइकिल एंड यू आर कंटिन्यूअसली मोटिवेटेड फॉर द एंटायर ईयर, इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू हैव सम टारगेट्स. तो वो जब एग्जाम रहते हैं ना, तो बंदा कुछ ना कुछ पढ़ता रहता है, नहीं तो ह्यूमन नेचर है, हम ढीले पड़ जाते हैं जब तक कोई डेट ना हो.
So one more thing I would like to share over here, that I differ in this, that one should prepare for RBI and SEBI as well, because there are a lot of my friends who have prepared for both of these exams and they have not been able to clear even any of them, because see, RBI has a very structured of phase 1, you have to focus on QRE, and my being from a CA background, and I had very little experience of QRE, and that was one of the major challenges, the paper 1. And in SEBI and PFRD and all these exams, you have to clear the basic cutoff, which with basic minimum preparation you can do it. But when you think about RBI, if you're a serious aspirant of RBI, then I feel you should prepare for RBI and should give exams those that have the QRE portion as the major chunk of it, not the SEBI exam, because again that is very different, that is commerce related, and that is again, so SEBI and RBI, I don't think that according to my strategy, I never preferred RBI. Yes, I enrolled in the initial stages, but then I thought that okay, I should be in line with SEBI because that is my main objective.
I agree with you, because जो वो QRE है ना, वो बहुत अलग है और उसका SEBI में कोई वेटेज नहीं है. और एक चीज अभी मेरे दिमाग में आ रही है, चेतन, a lot of my CA students who have cleared this exam, why do CAs are fearful of quant or reasoning? I mean, you people are so logical, right? आपने CA CFA किया है, क्वांट रीजनिंग से पता नहीं क्यों डर ले सर, बाकी सब कर लेंगे. क्वांट रीजनिंग में पता नहीं, शायद आई थिंक यू आर नॉट यूज्ड टू दैट, यू हैव नेवर डन दैट इन योर एंटायर सेट ऑफ स्टडीज. सो दे आर वेरी fearful कि सर इसमें 30 आ जाए, दूसरे में तो पता ही है कि 70 हम ले ही लेंगे. So is it just due to lack of practice?
Due to lack of practice and due to the lack of that mentality, because in the CA journey we have spent about 5-6 years doing accountancy and doing all that stuff, and we are not really used to those tricks and tips that are used for quant and reasoning to solve that mathematics. And mathematics, to be honest, there is no background in CA for mathematics, and that was one of the reasons I enrolled for CA, कि इसमें maths नहीं लगेगा because I was very weak in maths. So yeah, so that एक phobia जैसा हो जाता है, but again you have to fight that phobia, and जो आपको करना है वो basic, at least basic चीजें तो आपको SEBI में भी करनी ही होंगी. It's not that कि, because I know students who जिनका 30 के बजाय 29.5 पे रह गया and paper 2 में स्कोर था 70 के ऊपर. So वो चीजें हैं, तो you have to be ensured that at least you score that basic minimum cutoff, because आप कितने भी अच्छे हो paper 2 में, अगर आपको basic clear नहीं होगा तो that's of no use.
Many freshers ask me that now how how many months or how many hours are required for this preparation?
Right.
So what would be your opinion now since you have gone through the entire cycle? मतलब
Sir,
अगर आप
so
कितने महीने पहले स्टार्ट करने के लिए बोलेंगे?
sir, my take is different in this. I would say that you have to be consistent in your planning, not in your preparation. So when I say consistency, I don't mean that you have to slog 8 hours a day for 7 days a week altogether. My consistency means that you sit with a pen and paper, you make your own strategy, you have your subjects, you know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Give mock test if you're not if you're not aware of what your strengths and weaknesses are. So decide what how much time it will take for you to prepare a particular subject, and then that time, so suppose I decided I have to give 10 days to quant or 12 days to quant, so and I'll take simultaneously say paper 2 ka koi paper which is my forte, say I'm taking accountancy, so I'm taking accountancy with quant or reasoning, two things at a time, and then I have planned कि okay मेरे को 15 days में यहाँ तक पहुँचना है. Now I will also have a contingency plan कि in case 15 days में मेरा नहीं हो पाया, okay, हो सकता है कोई emergency situation आ गया, I'm not able to follow it consistently, so वो एकदम rigid plan नहीं होगा, थोड़ा सा contingency plan भी बनेगा, and with that planning, and I have to be consistent with that plan, not with the hours that I have to give it. So that is what I feel, that you have to plan accordingly. आपको पता है कि notification आने तक आपका पूरा syllabus complete होना चाहिए, and then after that notification you have to go into revisions, you have to go into mock test, you have to go into all those stuff. So planning में consistency चाहिए.
Yeah, I think that's very true. Because generally I've seen people planning कुछ करने ही नहीं है, मतलब that's the reality of most of us. We want the results, but without making that effort.
Right, sir.
So I think that is the essence of what you are saying is कि proper planning चाहिए. Planning होगी तो proper time लगेगा तो proper effort होगा और results will take care.
Right. So again, जैसे आपने बोला कि कितना टाइम लगेगा, that also depends upon the background of the student, कि उसको 3 महीने लगेंगे, इसको 6 महीने लगेंगे, उसको 1 साल लगेगा. That is again very subjective to me.
Very subjective. A CA will do, I think, the entire syllabus within 2 months.
Right.
A non-commerce student might take even 6 months to do the entire syllabus.
Right.
Now, Chetan, from your experience, again, you can answer it only from a CA perspective, I know, but still, what are the easiest sections in the exam and what are the toughest? Or what are the most scoring sections and what are the least scoring sections?
Sir, in terms of this exam particular, I would say Companies Act, it is very scoring, and not only in terms of this attempt. I would say that Companies Act एक ऐसा subject है जहाँ पर there are no ambiguities कि ये कुछ मतलब कि बाहर से पूछ ले या कुछ current affairs का चीजें हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, बहुत factual है. So if you dedicatedly study that and you keep revising and you know the stuff, यहाँ इतना timeline है, ये चीजें हैं, so it is very much possible to score 10 out of 10 questions right, and 8-9 questions तो आते ही हैं Companies Act से. So that is one area which is very much scoring. Another, I would say, one area, if you talk about phase 2, one should focus on is the numericals. Now it has been past 2 years का trend भी अगर आप देखें तो yes, numericals has been tested a lot of times, and it is one of the areas where at least the non-commerce background students really struggle a lot. So that is one area where, and this year's exam, there were a lot of lengthy numericals. So the length of the numericals, and to be familiar with that kind of lengthy numericals, that is very important, because मैंने देखा है कि मैंने बहुत सारे मॉक्स दिए, मैंने EduTap ऑल इंडिया मॉक भी दिया है, मैंने अनुज जिंदल का मतलब आई हैव गिवन अ लॉट ऑफ मॉक्स, बट द प्रॉब्लम इज कि मॉक जब मैं दे रहा था तो द 50-minute पेपर आई कुड कंप्लीट इन 40 minutes और इवन 30 minutes एट टाइम्स. बट उस एग्जाम में जब वो लेंदी न्यूमेरिकल्स एंड वो स्टेटमेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस आ रहे थे, तो मैंने तो स्टार्टिंग में यही मेंटालिटी लेके सोचा था कि यार हो जाएगा आराम से, कितना टाइम लग जाएगा. बट एंड आते आते जब आपको पता चलता है ओके टाइम इज रनिंग आउट, बिकॉज एट एग्जाम पॉइंट पे यू आर रीरीडिंग द क्वेश्चंस, यू आर रीरीडिंग द ऑप्शंस, यू वांट टू मेक श्योर कि आपकी गलती ना हो, तो थोड़ा टाइम ज्यादा भी लगता है एज कम्पेयर टू मॉक्स. सो दैट इज वन थिंग कि मॉक कितना भी दे लो, जब तक आपका रियल एग्जाम एनवायरनमेंट नहीं आता ना, उस चीज में आपका वो एक प्रेशर जो रहता है कि हाँ मेरे को ये एग्जाम देना है, वो थोड़ा सा रहता है. एंड ओनली बाय गिविंग मल्टीपल एग्जाम्स यू कैन बी श्योर ऑफ द एग्जाम एनवायरनमेंट, दैट एंजाइटी दैट कम्स इन दैट एनवायरनमेंट. तो वो चीजें हैं जो एक टेक केयर करने की चीजें.
बिल्कुल सही. आई थिंक हाउ मच एवर यू प्रैक्टिस, व्हेन यू गो फॉर द एक्चुअल टेस्ट, there would always be butterflies in the stomach.
Right.
और अगर मैं आपकी बात को summarize करूं, so what, let me know if I am right, Chetan is trying to say कि आप mock test दो, but mock test से भी ज्यादा अच्छा है कि अगर उन same pattern पे, same syllabus पे there are actual exams happening, go for them mandatorily. और ये I think हुआ भी है NPS या पेंशन वाला एनपीएससी पेपर होता है शायद, एनपीएस या पीएफआरडीए पीएफआरडीए की आई थिंक देयर वाज ओनली वन सीट.
Yeah.
People did not apply, though they were appearing for SEBI, they were preparing for SEBI, but they did
Right.
not apply for PFRD. Sir, एक ही सीट है, कहाँ होने वाला है?
Right, sir.
So that is what Chetan is trying to see, that at least for these kind of exams, which are like almost similar to what SEBI is asking, you should definitely apply for these exams, because this will give you practice in terms of real exam pressure that you will never get in the mock test.
And one more thing, I would say
Yeah,
that
Chetan.
PFRDA gave me a very huge confidence booster, because उस एक seat maybe I was there in the interview round and I was the highest scorer in the interview, but because of the fact कि मेरा mains उतना अच्छा नहीं गया था, I missed the cutoff by 2 marks. So but yeah, that gave me a huge confidence that yes, जब आप एक regulatory body exam में इतने दूर तक अगर आप पहुंचते हो, तो it gives you a confidence कि आप कर सकते हो. Otherwise आप exam दे रहे हो and if you are you're not able to clear, तो वो भी एक मन में आता है कि यार can I और कैन आई नॉट, बट वो एक बहुत बड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस बूस्टर था मेरे लिए पीएफआरडी.
बिल्कुल. तो सेबी में आपके इंटरव्यू की बाद में बात करूंगा. व्हाट वाज योर स्कोर चेतन इन पेपर 1 and paper 2 in phase 2 only? I'm not concerned about phase 1.
Okay, so phase 2 paper 1 I was my score was 53 in descriptive English.
पेपर 2 में फिर फोड़ा होगा आपने.
पेपर 2 78.5.
पेपर 2 was tough और उसमें 78.5 is really good.
Right, sir.
तो आप तो अगर मेरे ख्याल इंग्लिश में आपका रैंक क्या है चेतन?
ऑल इंडिया रैंक 3. राइट.
तो आप इंग्लिश में अगर 60 क्रॉस कर मतलब टॉपर से क्रॉस कर जाते हैं कि टॉपर के काफी ज्यादा?
नहीं, टॉपर के ज्यादा नहीं है. इनफैक्ट आई रिमेम्बर मेरे को ऑल इंडिया रैंक 2 का पता है. ही इज 46 इन डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंग्लिश. 46.
आप लोग प्रैक्टिस नहीं करके गए थे क्या? 46?
यस.
अरे इतने लोगों के आए हैं 60s में. आए हैं काफी लोगों के 60s.
एंड जिसका मैं बात कर रहा हूँ ऑल इंडिया रैंक 2 फ्रॉम जनरल स्ट्रीम, he is a UPSC aspirant and he has cleared UPSC prelims this year, and he will be writing mains, and he says that he has a very strong hold on descriptive. So even then he was surprised to see his marks in SEBI that इतने कम कैसे आ गए उसके. So yeah, descriptive English again, it has been a very question mark area for me कि कैसे मार्किंग हो रही है और कैसे हो रही है. Even I am not able to understand fully कि वो क्या चीज है.
Let's not get into that. That's a Pandora's box. But I think that's what we can learn from it is that कि आपका एक जैसे डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंग्लिश का पेपर खराब जा सकता है. सो समटाइम्स आई हैव सीन पीपल के सर 60 डिस्क्रिप्टिव इंग्लिश में आ जाएंगे, बस इसमें 65 लेने हैं, ऐसा करके मेरा हो जाएगा. सो डोंट रिलाई ऑन सच प्लानिंग. यू नेवर नो व्हाट कैन हैपन इन एक्चुअल एग्जाम.
राइट.
हाँ, सो ऑलवेज ट्राई टू स्कोर मैक्सिमम. काफी लोग चैप्टर्स छोड़ जाते हैं कि सर एक क्वेश्चन इसमें से आएगा, छोड़ देंगे. नेवर डू दैट. आई थिंक चेतन के अगर इसमें 65 होते तो चेतन शायद आपका पत्ता ही कट जाता.
मेरा तो सर 78 में पता कर सकता था अगर इंटरव्यू में कम आ जाते तो.
अच्छा, इंटरव्यू में भी सर अच्छे मिले हैं?
हाँ, इंटरव्यू में भी अच्छे मिले हैं. आई हैव स्कोर्ड 12 out of 15 in interview. But I have seen people who have scored good in phase 2 and they were scoring around 5, 4, 3 marks in interview, because of which they were not able to clear this exam. So that is again every phase is very important. Every phase is very important.
Earlier what SEBI used to do is they used to give almost similar marks in the interview. At least in the last year I have seen. ज्यादा फर्क नहीं था. 9, 10, 11 कोई बहुत अच्छा करता था, 12, 13. अब इन्होंने भी 4, 5 देने शुरू कर दिए हैं. जो अच्छा नहीं लगता है they are like इसको निकालो.
Right, sir.
But anyways, interviews is always important, so we should not take it lightly. Within company law, is there any strategy? So I'll come to subject-specific strategy right now. Any strategy in company law to remember all the facts, penalties? कोई shortcuts हो?
Shortcuts I won't say, but I had a small study group जिसके साथ मैं काफी प्रैक्टिस करता था, काफी बातें करता था during my journey, preparation journey. So हम लोगों ने प्लान करा था कि because Companies Act requires a lot of revision, so we used to say that एक कॉन कॉल करेंगे and कॉन कॉल में suppose we check chapter 3 prospectus. तो we'll discuss all the sections, will not refer to anything. आपको पढ़ के आना है पहले से, आप जो करो. But at that point of time, in that con call, you have to you will discuss. तो अगर मैं section 23 से लेके section 42 तक बात कर रहा हूँ, तो if I'm missing out something, the other person will stop me and tell, okay, आपने ये मिस कर दिया. और ये चीजें जब आप रिपीटेडली करते रहोगे ना, तो वो जो एक सीक्वेंस पूरा माथा में एकदम आराम से बैठ जाएगा. So that is one thing which I would say that really helped me. Plus अगर आपको लगता है कि कुछ चीजें हैं जो आप मिस आउट कर रहे हो, you can again note it down in your copy or somewhere that you can refer to at a later stage.
That's a very interesting way to revise what Chetan just said through con calls, through his study groups. Now, Chetan, coming on to costing and accounts, as you said earlier, numericals are not that easy now.
Right.
Though still, I would say they're on basics, but they're putting up some lending numericals. So, देखो, as a chartered accountant, as a chartered financial analyst level 3, you must have done case studies, big numericals. But still, if you have to give advice to a non-commerce student, what is the depth of numericals that he or she is required to do?
Sir, to be honest, I would say very less depth. In the sense that you just have to have conceptual clarity in terms of how the formula is derived, and instead of going into the ratification process कि उसको रट लेते हैं, एग्जाम में आएगा vomit कर देंगे, that would kind of hamper, because you might forget there are a lot of formulas. So if you just understand the logic behind those formulas, that कि इसका purpose क्या है इस formula का, what is it trying to signify, तो वो चीजें जब आप उस रेस्पेक्ट में पढ़ोगे ना, तो फिर आपकी जो conceptual clarity के हेल्प से even if you're not able to remember the formula during the exam, आप वो लगा के कुछ ना कुछ लगा के आप कर दोगे उस चीज को. That is one thing, that conceptual clarity is very important.
और मतलब for a non-commerce student, is it manageable? What is your take? I mean, can they do numericals and compete there? Obviously, many non-commerce students clear each year, but still, I want to take your opinion on this.
Definitely, they can do if provided they are dedicated, and that I personally suggest that you can refer to the ICAI study material, which is of not final IPCC level. ICAI study material. They have mentioned on the formulas, but yes, there are times when you are not able to understand a thing, and if you are doing self study, पहले जमाने में सर नहीं होता था कि आपके पास YouTube, Google हेल्प था, but today you have Google, you have YouTube, you don't know a particular thing, you have your syllabus, you just have to copy and paste that thing in YouTube or Google, and you will get all the logical explanations and you can read them. तो वो उतना एफर्ट तो आप थोड़ा करना पड़ेगा if you're doing self study. तो पूरे थाली में सजा कर तो नहीं मिलने वाला है.
आपकी बात बिल्कुल सही है, बट अभी जो मैं देख रहा हूँ, लोगों को प्रॉब्लम क्या आती है, सबको पता है YouTube है, सबको पता है. अब वो लोग प्रॉब्लम क्या पूछते हैं कि सर मैं सेल्फ स्टडी कर रहा हूँ, यूट्यूब पे मैं जाता हूँ, इतना कंटेंट है, मैं फिल्टर नहीं कर पाता. सो आई थिंक दैट विल कम विद टाइम वंस यू स्टार्ट watching channels, and then you find that यार ये बंदा समझा पा रहा है, मैं इससे समझ पा रहा हूँ, मैं इसको फॉलो करूँ. So that needs patience. That's it, I think.
Again, if you have a mentor, that is a very good thing. If you have a mentor who has experience in that field, तो वो आपको अच्छे से ज्यादा गाइड कर पाएगा कि आपको कहाँ से करनी चाहिए.
Exactly. Chetan, being a commerce graduate, management आपको थोड़ी tough लगी होगी, I think.
सर बहुत टफ लगी है मैनेजमेंट, टू बी ऑनेस्ट. तो ड्यूरिंग माय PFRDA आई रिमेम्बर, तो मैनेजमेंट में जब मैं क्वेश्चंस पढ़ रहा था इनिशियली फॉर द पास्ट इयर्स एज वेल, तो उस समय क्वेश्चंस वेर वेरी फैक्चुअल बेस्ड कि ये थ्योरी किसने दी, या इस थ्योरी में क्या बोला जा रहा है, ये सारी चीजें. बट the pattern recently shifted towards more application based questions, जहाँ पर फिर और आपको now you have to understand everything. तो वो रटिफिकेशन से काम नहीं चलेगा. You have to apply कि वो लीडरशिप थ्योरी इस सिचुएशन में अप्लाई, कौन सी थ्योरी अप्लाई हो रही है. So again, that was a challenge, and for that I would say for me I would say that doing a lot of practice and having a mentor with me really helped me to come out of that phobia कि यार management कैसे होगा. Again, during the exam also, I always feel, and even all the educational institutes, that you might also feel that कि कुछ questions ऐसे होते हैं जिसका 2 answers होना possible है, very much possible है, and it becomes a very much dilemmatic sort of thing, and इसका answer की आता नहीं है, so you never know which is the correct answer. So वो चीजें एक management में ambiguity है, and you have to address it. That is it.
वो I think वही थोड़ा elimination सीखना पड़ेगा, and
right sir.
Management is such कि यार अगर confusing questions हैं, 10 क्वेश्चन अटेम्प्ट किए तो उसमें से अगर 7-8 ठीक हो गए, that's very good. You have done
that's very good. Yeah, right.
और इकोनॉमिक्स में भी चेतन इस साल there were questions which were bit tedious, in depth. Last year they were really easy.
right sir, right sir.
तो इस बार एकदम बहुत बड़ा शिफ्ट आया, what I could see.
Yes,
it was purely based on understanding. So were you prepared for that कि economics आपको भी टफ लगा?
मेरे को टफ लगता, अगर मैं प्रिपेयर नहीं करता तो yes, टफ तो था, डेफिनेटली टफ था. I won't say it was easy or it was moderate, it was tough. But मैंने EduTap के वीडियोस देखे थे in terms of मैम जो वीडियो लेक्चर्स हैं उनके, वो मैंने फॉलो करे थे, प्लस मैंने कुछ यूट्यूब चैनल्स फॉलो करे थे. तो क्योंकि देखिए सर, मेरे पास सिलेबस मेरे हाथ में था, तो आई पिक pinned and pointed. मैंने मेरे को जो चीजें करनी है वो मेरे को जब exactly पता है कि this is the learning outcome that I have to take from this particular section, so I used the material in a very good sense कि मैंने उस चीजों को अपने हिसाब से मैंने देखा, सब चीजें देखी, नोट्स बनाए अपने, उस पर मेहनत करी again. So see, मैटर यही करता है कि the extra effort that you put in, because normal effort सारे लगा रहे हैं and normal content सबके पास है, it's how you use that content that matters. So again, वो चीज के लिए मैं बोलूंगा कि I'm thankful to EduTap and many other underdogs in YouTube जिसने मेरा हेल्प करा उस चीज को लेकर.
बिल्कुल. And overall, what was your revision strategy, Chetan? Because when we read so much, I've seen students just getting their nerves down in the end because they are not able to revise.
Right,
sir, कुछ याद नहीं है. Marks में number क्यों नहीं आ रहे हैं? पढ़ा तक सब कुछ है लेकिन कुछ याद नहीं. So were you revising, I mean, consistently when you were reading, or you had a specific plan कि यार ये सारा syllabus cover करके I would be revising in the last 30 days or 20 days? So
because of PFRDA, मेरा एक बार का जो syllabus था वो पूरा हो चुका था paper 2 का. And when SEBI phase 1 came, I was very much afraid about paper 1. So मैंने paper 2 की उस समय पढ़ाई नहीं करी थी, मैंने सिर्फ paper 1 के marks लगाए थे और I did everything that I could do to improve my paper 1. तो मैंने paper 1 कर लिया. मेरा जब वो जैसे ही मेरा एग्जाम खत्म हुआ phase 1, from the next day onwards मैंने पूरा syllabus का प्रिंट आउट निकाला. I forgot what I knew, what I didn't knew, मेरे को नहीं पता. And I also, I'm not saying this is bad. Many institutes conduct revision series, mock series, सब कुछ कराते हैं because उनका काम है वो चीज करना. But again, for me it was कि मेरे को पहले syllabus complete करना है and then I have to see all this. तो मैं क्या करता था, वो syllabus लेके बैठा and वो syllabus से मेरे को जो material मिला from scratch, I started everything fresh. एंड मैंने वो 20 डेज जो 30 डेज जो थे, मैंने वो पूरा चीज फ्रेश उसको वापस से पढ़ा है और उसी को वापस से एक बार रिवीजन करने का ट्राई करा. दैट वाज वेरी फ्रेश एंड दैट वाज वेरी रॉ प्रिपरेशन दैट आई डिड फॉर फेज 2.
और आपने मॉक टेस्ट कितने दिए थे चेतन?
मॉक टेस्ट मैंने
कुछ इंटेंशनली प्लान किया था कि 15 देने हैं, 20 देने हैं, या इट वाज लाइक के जितने हो गए ठीक है? मैंने
प्लान तो करा था बट वो प्लान के हिसाब से मॉक टेस्ट मैं नहीं दे पाया था. बट मैंने मॉक टेस्ट काफी ड्यूरिंग द प्रिपरेशन, लाइक PFRD ले लो आप, वो सारी चीजें ड्यूरिंग द ईयर मैंने काफी सारे मॉक टेस्ट दिए थे. लाइक EduTap का मैंने ऑब्वियसली ऑल इंडिया मॉक मैंने दिया था और बाकी इंस्टीट्यूट्स का भी मैंने सबका ऑल इंडिया मॉक वगैरह दिया था. प्लस मैंने एक टेस्ट सीरीज भी परचेज करी थी फॉर मोर प्रैक्टिस. अगेन आई वुड से प्रैक्टिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एंड रिविजन थ्रू प्रैक्टिस इज ऑल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बिकॉज अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आपको पढ़ना उतना अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है और आप नहीं पढ़ पा रहे हो उतना, तो यू टेक द रिवर्स स्ट्रैटेजी, यू प्रैक्टिस इट एंड वो प्रैक्टिस से जो आपकी लर्निंग्स हो रही हैं आप उसको नोट डाउन करते रहो. यू कैन प्रैक्टिस थ्रू मॉक्स एज वेल. मतलब रिवीजन भी आप मॉक्स के थ्रू कर सकते हो.
Yes, so that's a very important aspect that we always emphasize कि क्वेश्चंस जितने ज्यादा करने करो, क्योंकि एलिमिनेशन आप उससे सीखेंगे, टाइम मैनेजमेंट आप उससे सीखेंगे और एनीवेज एक अच्छी रिवीजन हो जाती है आई थिंक एमसीक्यू.
राइट सर, राइट.
Okay, now Chetan, I think we have discussed most of the things about paper 2. Let's move on to paper 1, descriptive English. So right. Chetan, honestly, how much time did you spend on preparing for descriptive English?
I have watched YouTube. I don't remember. Naveen sir है ना?
Narveer sir.
Yeah. उनके मैंने वीडियोस देखे थे. तो he particularly was very good in terms of telling what the structure should be of each and everything. तो वो मैंने सुना था. The structure I had in mind. मैंने मॉक्स प्रैक्टिस करे थे एंड दैट इज द ओनली थिंग दैट आई डिड. द फर्दर मटेरियल एंड वो सारी जो चीजें होती है कि आपको फैक्ट्स पता होने चाहिए, वो सब मैंने कुछ नहीं करा था टू बी ऑनेस्ट. तो फैक्ट्स वगैरह बिकॉज आई फेल्ट कि वो मेरा एक मैं न्यूज़पेपर्स काफी पढ़ता था. अगेन दैट इज वन थिंग. इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स आई यूज्ड टू रीड डेली. So from there I used to get a lot of vocabulary and a lot of stuff which helped me in descriptive English. But again, since my descriptive English score is not that good, I cannot comment on whether my strategy was successful or not. But I read newspapers. I have given mocks, and that was the only thing that I did for descriptive English.
So how many mocks did you give for descriptive English?
I gave 4 to 5 mocks for SEBI, and then during PFRD and NABARD also I gave descriptive English paper. So even then वहाँ पर भी मेरा descriptive English था.
So did you feel that now giving mock test and getting feedback on those mock tests for descriptive English helps one to increase their score?
To be honest, no.
No. Why?
In terms of descriptive English, my strategy to give mocks was whether I am able to complete the paper on time. वो जो एक होता है कि बिकॉज NABARD में आई यूज्ड टू गेट 90 मिनट्स एंड उसमें एक लेटर था, एक ऐसे था और एक प्रेसी था. देयर वाज नो आरसी आल्सो, सो दैट वाज वेरी इजी फॉर मी. बट जैसे ही पीएफआरडी आया एंड दैट वाज इन लाइन विद सेबी कि आपको 60 मिनट्स में वही थिंग करने हैं, आरसी करना है, प्रेसी करना है, ऐसे करना है. तो इनिशियली व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड गिविंग मॉक्स मेरा पेपर ही कंप्लीट नहीं हो रहा था. सो अगेन माय स्ट्रेटजी वाज कि आपको कम से कम पेपर तो कंप्लीट करना है कैसे न कैसे करके. तो वो मॉक्स की हेल्प से मेरा स्पीड थोड़ा सा गैदर हुआ एंड आई मेड श्योर कि मेरा पेपर कंप्लीट हो. इवन इन रियल एग्जाम आई वुड से कि मेरा स्ट्रैटेजी था, मैंने पहले ऐसे अटेम्प्ट करा, फिर मैंने आरसी अटेम्प्ट करा एंड लास्ट में मैंने प्रेसी करा. द रीजन बीइंग कि अगर आपका आरसी छूट जाता है एक पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन तो उसके पूरे मार्क्स गए. बट प्रेसी में अगर आपका कुछ वर्ड लिमिट बच भी जाता है तो देयर इज स्कोरिंग दैट हैपेंस इन प्रेसी. एंड इनफैक्ट मेरा प्रेसी में थोड़ा सा वर्ड लिमिट छूटा भी था बिकॉज द आरसी दिस ईयर वाज वेरी लॉन्ग. तो वो चीज हुई थी.
And how is the interface in the exam, Chetan? It's really scary.
It's scary. It's scary. If you're going for the first time, it's scary because आप वो जो कर्सर होता है ना, वो कभी भी कहीं भी पता नहीं एंटर मारने से कहीं जंप कर जाता है, तो वो प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं.
तो हम उसके लिए घर पे कैसे प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं? Is there any tool for it?
I am not aware of it. If you are, then you can obviously share it.
I am also not aware.
I am also not aware.
Fine. And any particular strategy in descriptive English, as in write your answers in RC in paragraphs or write your essay in points? Anything you followed like that?
I followed the strategy that introduction should be very catchy. थोड़ा सा आप एक start अगर बढ़िया कर दोगे तो yes, that I followed. Introduction में मैंने कुछ अगर मेरे को आते हैं मेरे पहले, because newspaper reading से अगर मेरे पास कुछ facts हैं that is relating to the material, तो मैं उसको use कर लूंगा. But I was not in a pressure कि मेरे को वो fact use करना ही है कहीं ना कहीं. अगर वो बैठेगा तो यूज कर लूंगा, अदरवाइज नहीं करूंगा, मैं अपने हिसाब से कर लूंगा वो चीजें. तो वो चीज थी कि यस, स्ट्रक्चर तो डेफिनेटली था कि आपको इंट्रो करना है, आपको देन बॉडी लिखनी है, देन यू हैव टू कंक्लूड. बट अगेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ ऐसे 200 वर्ड्स इज अ वेरी लेस वर्ड लिमिट फॉर स्ट्रक्चरिंग ऑल द 3 थिंग्स एंड विद द टाइम लिमिट, बिकॉज इतना सोचने का तो टाइम है नहीं आपके पास कि बैठ के आप आराम से लिखो वहां पर. तो वो एक चीज रहती है.
और चेतन, इंटरव्यू फेज के बारे में बताइए कुछ. सो हाउ वाज योर इंटरव्यू एंड वेयर डिड इट टेक प्लेस?
Interview took place in the ERO, Eastern Regional Office, Kolkata. There were 4 panel members, 3 were physically present and 1 was present on video conferencing. So I really prepared well for interview. That's what I thought, that I had really prepared well for interview. And
so
everyone,
your marks also show that, yeah. I mean,
yeah. Again,
well out of 15.
Definitely. But during the interview, I would say that the mock interviews really gave me a lot of confidence. The things that were in my favor was the PFRD interview score, that I knew that I can give a good interview, because according to me, interview is more about your personality and more about your communication skills rather than your technical knowledge. Right. So in that terms, I would say that I was confident because I am from a teaching background. मैं पढ़ाता भी हूँ, एक public speaking का है मेरे अंदर वो चीजें, तो वो एक communication और presentation skills मेरे अंदर है. So that was one confidence. But as soon as I entered the interview room, the first question that was posted to me by the chairman of the interview, that shook my confidence at once. So the first question I was expecting he will ask, introduce yourself, and I am prepared for it. I could give a very good introduction about myself, but no, he jumped on to the fact that how did it take you 7 years or 6 years to clear your CA? I was like, what is this, man? I am not prepared for this question. How to answer this question? So that came as a shocker. That was that I was not prepared with. So my interview went for around 35 to 40 minutes.
Wow.
That was a long interview. Initially, he was talking about, because see, I feel the interview is more about your PIF. Whatever you're filling in your PIF, that is the basis from which the questions are derived, and further the answers that you give, on that basis you will derive a lot of questions.
Exactly.
So, and yes, fortunately for me, there was a portion of current affairs which was tested, and my newspaper reading again helped me. तो वो जो economy portion वाला जो था, जो last में आया, that I was able to answer very well. But जो initially जो interview मेरा चला with respect to the HR questions, that why do you want to join SEBI? So you are so passionate about investing. You know, अगर आप SEBI में आ जाओगे तो आप invest नहीं कर सकते हो. तो what you will do? Why don't go for investment banking? So I said that I'll get a lot of exposure over here. They said no, you'll get a lot of exposure in investment banking. In that terms, यहाँ पर आपको नहीं मिलेगा वो चीजें. So you know that playing field was going on. So they were joking around. So I said कि in one point I said कि why do you want to join SEBI? So I said कि मैं जब stock market में investing करता हूँ तो I see a lot of things which I feel कि SEBI कर सकता है, but as an outside person ये बोलना आसान होता है. So I thought कि let's go into it and see what can be done. तो वो एक perspective मैंने रखा वहाँ पर. So she said okay ये policy changes लाएगा SEBI में. So the video conferencing lady, she joked around with everyone and said ये policy changes लाएगा SEBI में. So again I at that point of time, now what should be your reaction? So my reaction was simple कि I definitely know that as a grade A officer I will not be having a saying in policy making, but definitely I could give some suggestions to my seniors and they can improve upon it if they find it feasible, and there is a standard operating procedure that goes on. So अब वो अपना पार्ट प्ले करेंगे. यू हैव टू कीप योर काम, यू हैव टू.
एग्जैक्टली. और आई थिंक जो उन्होंने जैसे ये जोक प्ले किया कि ये पॉलिसी चेंजेस लाएगा, इट वाज नॉट लाइक इन अ sarcastic terms. They were just trying to put you under pressure.
Right.
देखते हैं कि क्या बोलते हैं, इजी सीरियस है ऐसे ही फेंक रहा है कुछ.
प्लस फर्दर वन मोर थिंग आई वुड लाइक टू ऐड, बिकॉज मैंने सेबी के डिपार्टमेंट्स को स्टडी करा था, तो उसमें कॉर्पोरेशन फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट होता है व्हिच डील्स इन आईपीओ, एंड आई वांटेड टू मेक माय केस स्ट्रांग फॉर दैट डिपार्टमेंट. सो मैंने एनआईएसएम का मर्चेंट बैंकिंग का सर्टिफिकेशन लिया था, and I boasted it in my interview, and then the chairman said, okay, since you have such deep knowledge about it, so if I ask you 2-3 questions on the same, will you be able to answer? I said, sir, I'll definitely try my best. And then he said, why are you not confident enough that you'll be able to answer since you have such good score in your NISM certification as well? I said, obviously there are a few things which I may not be able to recollect. Then he asked me 2 questions and I was not even able to answer a single one, and he said, now what? And I'm like, I don't know. So I didn't try to frame answers. I didn't know the answer. I said I don't know the answer. Simple.
So the learning we can take from your interview is that first is never try to bluff or never try to just say anything for the sake of it. If you don't know, say don't know.
Right.
And your score is saying that you have done well. But then if you're not able to answer, so that's it. That's the reality. That happens with everyone. Actually, that happens with everyone. Even if a person is working in SEBI for 10 years and you might ask him something from what he has done 5 years back, he might not be able to answer. So that everybody understands. I think they're just checking your attitude and the way you interact. Current affairs में से क्या पूछा? HR में तो काफी देख लिया मैंने भी.
Current affairs में they asked me about.
And that time you might be thinking, Chetan, कि ये तो गया, इसमें तो 5 नंबर आएंगे.
Yes sir, I was of that. So when the economy portion and the current affairs portion started, they first asked me कि what is the problem that the economy is facing. So I started my answer with income inequality, right? So that is a very big problem that India is facing. And then the person, he stopped me, the panel member, and he said, I'm talking about the current situation. So I said currently inflation. So then वो जो talk है पूरा वो inflation के lines में चला कि inflation के लिए what RBI can do, what this central government can do. And उस time पे central government ने excise duty cut करा था. Because see, the inflation was more from the supply side and not from the demand side. So RBI couldn't have done a lot to curtail the demand side. So it was since the supply side was there, so the central government could have done by cutting the excise duty and the various things which they did. And then they asked me about what is the monetary impact of the same on the fiscal deficit will increase or not, what is the current debt to GDP ratio. So these things I had a very good conceptual clarity about it. So I was able to answer pretty well on these lines, whatever they were asking me with respect to all this.
I think that's what saved you. That's what where you would have done really good. That's why you got 12 marks.
Yeah, correct.
And did you give a mock interview with our panel, Chetan?
Yes sir, I did.
So was it useful, and whom did you give the interview to?
I gave my interview to Piyush Gupta sir and another panel member. I'm sorry, I'm not able to recall sir's name.
No problem. Piyush Gupta sir is ex-CGM of SEBI retired.
Yes, sir.
So was that interview useful, and were you able to get some insights out of that?
Sir, very useful. To be honest, I could relate to sir because I have also given PFRD mock interview to sir. So so that way I had a sort of personal connection. After my interview was over, I told him that I was able to do quite well in my PFRD interview also. So yeah, the mock interview was good. So I would say that whenever you are giving a mock interview, for any aspirants who's watching this, whenever you are giving mock interviews, so the purpose is never कि आपको exactly वो questions मिलेंगे वहाँ पर. It is not that. It is just to familiarize you with an external panel. कि कोई एक एक्सटर्नल पैनल है जो आपको जानता नहीं है, वो किस तरह के क्वेश्चंस पोस्ट कर सकता है और उस समय आप उसको किस तरह से आंसर कर सकते हो. द क्वेश्चंस दैट यू विल फेस इन द एक्चुअल इंटरव्यू can be very different from what you face in the mock interview. But again, you have to, the purpose of giving mock interview is to be familiarizing yourself with such an environment. कि अच्छा अगर वीडियो कॉन्फ्रेंसिंग में हो रहा है, द काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस दे आर आस्किंग, वेदर आपके नर्व्स हिल रहे हैं, वेदर यू आर शेकिंग, वेदर यू आर एबल टू डू इट. सो वो उन सब चीजों को काम करने के लिए.
फाइन. सो चेतन, आई थिंक आपने बहुत अच्छी एडवाइस दी है. आई थिंक what I liked about this interaction is that you have spoken from the bottom of your heart. And aspirants wants to know, listen to that only. Obviously, आप उनको हाथ पकड़ के एग्जाम क्लियर नहीं करवा सकते. You can just motivate them. You can just guide them.
Right.
So it was really nice talking to you, Chetan. Before we end this session, I would just request you to say a few words for the future aspirants who are watching you or who would be watching your interview later. That how can they achieve their goals, or how can they try in spite of all the blockages and keep moving towards their goal.
Right, sir. So one thing I would like to say that it is very important to remove your mental blocks, because you are your only competition and you have created that thing in your mind कि नहीं होगा मेरे से, मैं इस बैकग्राउंड से हूँ, मेरे से नहीं होगा, ये नहीं हो पा रहा है. So first of all, the very most thing that is important is self belief. You have to believe in yourself that you can do it, and you have to actually feel, you have to, I practice a lot of self talk, visualization and affirmation techniques, that I'm visualizing myself that I'm working in SEBI. I'm visualizing, I'm practicing affirmations, I'm saying that, and I have given this interview with you in my mind a lot of times before this it's actually happening. So yes, I've done a lot of things. I've imagined myself to be AIR 1, and in my LinkedIn profile it is written that SEBI Grade A officer AIR 1. Though I was not able to achieve AIR 1, I achieved AIR 3. Even that is not a small thing. But again, so imagining and visualizing and actually believing it, not just for the sake of it, okay, but actually believing it with your full emotion, and then doing all the hard work, being prepared focusfully. So the self-belief is, I think, the most important thing that can help the future aspirants to, despite your background, despite your story, and use your negatives to build your positive. So I had a lot of negative, and I used them to push myself further, and do it. So I had this 1 year, as I said, that I had asked my family for this 1 year. I do not have any other attempt in SEBI or in any other regulatory body. I just had this 1 year, and I knew that अगर कुछ करना है तो इसी में करना है, इसके बाद कोई चांस नहीं है. So first attempt, best attempt, last attempt, over and out. So उस तरह का मैं ये नहीं बोलूंगा कि आप मत दो attempt, दो, but जब आप first attempt दे रहे हो तो इस mentality के साथ दो कि आपका यही last attempt होने वाला है. तो उसमें जो आपका input जाएगा, जो efforts जाएंगे, वो बहुत ज्यादा अच्छे होंगे. That is the thing.
That's a really nice advice, Chetan. And what I liked about what you said is that imagination part. That's very important. I think वो अगर हम imagine करने लग जाएं, so I think body will create that energy, and maybe universe will also create that kind of situations around you that you will be able to achieve your goals. So think positive, guys. That is what I think is the sense of the message, and you will be able to achieve your goals, if not today, then tomorrow. So thank you, Chetan.
Thank you so
for
much.
this interview, and I wish you best of luck for your career in SEBI. You are joining indeed a very great organization, I would say, and I hope you are able to make that difference.